I just want also to draw your attention on page 19 of a Daily Nation, because I know as well that left in the intray of General Nkaissery was the issue of NCIC and the new, of course, the new commissioners, or the commissioners. Yes, we have it on screen. It says anxiety at Cohesion body as term of 8 bosses nears the end. And it says anxiety has gripped the National Cohesion and Integration Commission as the term of 8 commissioners comes to an end on August the 12th, 4 days after the general election. This means there could be a vacuum in the commission tasked with taming hate speech and bringing cohesion to the country, as the process of recruiting new commissioner has not started. Since January, the team led by former National Assembly Speaker Francis Ole Kaparo has been lobbying President Uhuru Kenyatta to have the term extended without success. The commissioners were appointed by President in August 2014 for 3 good years. And of course, we have their names: Mr. Kaparo, Belinda Ochiel. She left, I think, from the commission as well for other assignments as well. Irene Wanyoike, she's the vice chair of the commission right now. We have also Adan Mohammed, Robert Sharamo, Joseph Nasongo, Maurice Zoro, and Joseph Naituli. And the NCIC Act 2008 says the chairperson and the commissioners should hold office for 3 years and are eligible for reappointment, right? In a letter to the President, President Kenyatta, dated January the 5th, Mr. Kaparo said, it goes thusly: Your Excellency, the term of the current commissioners coincides with the next general election in August of 2017. With the hindsight of the cyclic tensions historically witnessed every electoral cycle and other times of political significance, it is not in the best interest of a nation for there to be a vacuum in the commission during this important exercise. And Mr. Kaparo went on to say, this being the case, therefore allow me, Your Excellency, to recommend the reappointment of a chairperson and all commissioners of NCIC in accordance with Section 19 of the NCIC Act. So are we facing a vacuum right now? Of course, we need the commission during that particular period when we know that NCIC, the term will be ending on the 12th of August. So given the heightened, of course, political tension that we have in the country right now, what they've been doing on the ground, could we comment on this? Because I think maybe we need to also look into this, because it seems every cyclical year, or when we're coming to general election, the same will be happening. The expiry of the commissioners will be coming, and then we'll be having this particular exercise, you know, coming to a crucial end when we direly need it. Let's hear from
one thing we have to realize, Debarl, is that the commission and the commissioners are different. They can the commission is constitutionally anchored, so the commission is not going anywhere.
Yes,
it's an institution. So, and the good thing is that this is mid-cycle, sort of, such that the term of the actual commissioners can be renewed, and therefore it's open, and I think it's good to have continuity. It's most likely the head of state will grant that. There was a commission before them, commissioners before them, Mzalendo Kibunja and so on. He served his 6, and then now we have a commission, the team led by Commissioner Kaparo and so on. They have served their first 3. So it should follow, you know, just follow suit that that will work out. Mm-hmm. And therefore, there will be no vacuum as such, and this is just the commissioners just you know, sort of putting a play that we would like a chance to serve an extended term. And ordinarily, it would not, highly unlikely that when you're serving in a state corporation or constitutionally anchored body, and you're within the tenure, it's highly unlikely that that would not be granted. So the head of state will move in and grant that. But allow me, Debarl, just one thing to add about what Captain said about General Nkaissery. Also, listening to advice.
Yes,
he had a lot of people around him. He would listen. I'll give you an example, and I'm not trying to, you know, to say, because I know people talk like that in funerals. During a Garissa attack, at the height of it, a thought came to my mind, and you know, sometimes you bypass protocol, but I sent that officer a text, and he replied on the phone. He replied, and he said, I've taken that into account. So he had that quality. So you know, strategically, which, for example, and that's why I was saying, well, you cannot say fill the gap, but what I'm saying is that we are trying to underscore qualities that this officer had, and they are really outstanding. But of course, nobody should say, that's what I meant. That now that he's not around, you can take advantage. No, there is a way. He has trained officers, even we know, who can espouse his work, and they can help. For example, with PS Matiang'i here, and he's not able to run 2 dockets. At some point, they'll have to relieve him of 1 or appoint someone else. But they're likely to have, especially at the PS level, some officers who can stand in there, and I think that will work.
All right, let's hear from Dr. Mustafa. The issue of
cohesion. But I don't think there's going to be a vacuum, and ordinarily these positions should be renewed. I think the president should renew. If they've just served 1 term, they should serve the other 3 years, the other 1 term, so that they can continue the work that they've been doing. But I want to encourage the NCIC to be doers, to do their work in the same remarkable manner that the late Major General Nkaissery did his work, and to be sharp and to address the issues that we need to see them address. Hate speech in this country is over the top. And the commission that we are looking up to is NCIC. We need to see them working. I know there are issues. They're saying that they're not able to prosecute, or the police is the prosecutors are letting them down. But this is something that they need to work out in the same manner that Major General Nkaissery did with the Interior Ministry to create the interagency coordination mechanism that actually worked. Why can't NCIC do the same? And so, as much as we say it is important to have these positions renewed, but let them deliver. We need to see results.
Thank you. All right, let's hear from Captain Wanderi.
Yeah, yes. I will go I will be the devil's advocate. You know, when you have statutory institutions with timelines, there is always that care, and there is always that period when you're not sure. Right now, the commissioners have basically 1 month in office. So in other words, Debarl, when you're in government service and your time is about to expire, your concentration and focused work is very diminished.
Yes.
And that's a fact. And what happens is you're thinking more of either a handover or a renewal. The anxiety that accompanies that kind of situation is basically what the nation is reporting today. That you have a commission here, we are going to an election year, and there's no indication. You would expect the head of public service, for example, to have indicated to the commissioners that we've received your letter, we are acting on it.
Yes.
This is basic courtesies in state offices. And this has been lacking in the way we do things in this country. For anybody, anybody who's been on a contract, and some of us here have been on contract, when your term is expiring, your focus is not on work. Your focus is on either handover or looking for other things. So I would expect the head of public service, and I would call upon Mr. Joseph Kenywa to act on this, because these are acts, these are mainly administrative duties where he would be reminding the president that this is expiring. And why is it important? Debarl, if today you scout social media, some of the groups and some of the pages, including a page that was taken down by Facebook themselves, the amount of vitriol and hate speech and subtle attacks and ethno-mobilization happening and by young people is very shocking. The task of ensuring that this is curbed and nipped at the bud is the work of the Integration and Cohesion Commission. Now, they should be working together with the ICT authority, the new body that has been created by government to police the internet, as well as the cybercrime unit of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. And therefore, it is important that there be a commission in place as we go towards elections, because you had the CS Information and Technology saying that information and communication assure Kenyans that we are not going to block the internet during just around the election time and after election. And you're then going to have heightened vitriol and a lot of negative things being posted on social media. And that is the time you need the commission more. So that once you have the commission working and telling people they are tracking and they can see and they can act, then you may reduce this. Otherwise, we would not want to get into a situation where a state agency is left moribund and we are left we are left exposed.
Right.
That's not a good situation.
Okay, let's hear from Captain Odinga.
I think one, I want to disagree with Captain Wanderi. This commission is a constitutional commission. It has a secretariat that works. The people whose terms are ending are the commissioners. And this secretariat works on a day-to-day basis. So I don't agree that because we are having elections, so it is very crucial that we must have commissioners. Number two.
But how will it be a commission without a commissioner? If it's running with the secretariat,
what I'm saying is this.
It's not a commission.
No. The commission is an entity, but it has commissioners.
But what makes the entity is the commissioners.
No.
Yes.
The commission is a body corporate.
That's right.
The commission is a body corporate.
Correct.
Yes.
It's a body.
It is not individuals.
All right. No. But my question is, when we're looking also at the EACC and when we didn't have the commissioners, you know, there was that debate that the whole process within the commission was scuttled because they could not operate, right? Well, they could not operate, even looking at the current IEBC as well, right? The issue was, how could you offer tenders when there were no commission? That
Let me finish my thought process,
okay.
But I don't agree with you. A commission is a body corporate, so it is an entity under the law, and it operates with or without the commissioners, but yes, you need the commissioners. By these people not being on board does not mean the commission has been disbanded.
No.
It's a body corporate. That is one. Number two, what I don't agree with this commission is, are they supposed to be reformists or they're supposed to be punitive? Most Kenyans look at this commission as a punitive commission. And therefore, they have not endeared themselves to the Kenyan people to make them know that, yes, we are here not to punish you, but to reform you, to bring you back into the fold. To me, that's where the problem is, Debarl. And therefore, if the president has not answered from January to July, and I remember I used to tell one of the senior officers in the police, you should start seeing the writing on the wall. The president cannot keep you waiting for 7 months. Number three, these commissions are supposed to be performance contracted individuals. So if the president, and I'm not saying he will not reappoint them, if the president and the head of public service has taken 7 months to answer you, you are supposed to perform. Your contract is based on performance contracting. Probably these people have not performed to the expectations of the head of state. This is speculation. But I don't think they have a right to ask the president to reappoint them, because this is a job that Kenyans can be appointed so long as they are capable of doing that job.
But do you think, from your own estimation, that we should have the appointment of new commissioners as we're heading towards general election?
I don't think so.
What would be the ideal situation?
This commission cannot be based on elections. I don't think it was meant for elections. It is a commission that is supposed to bring about cohesion.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't think we should base our argument that because we are heading into elections and therefore we need people in place. No, this commission was not meant for elections.
All right, let's say from Captain, we'll come to you, yes. Professor Naomi Dama, in a moment.
I want to correct one thing which my colleagues here have raised. The issue, yes, the commission is a body corporate. But are the acts of the commission proper and legal without the commissioners? That is a question that we should be asking ourselves. And a ruling has already been made during the questions that were raised over the EACC when certain things were done in the absence of commissioners. A ruling has already been done up to the Court of Appeal when IEBC, another constitutional commission, did things in the absence of commissioners. and the judicial precedent has been set. Yes, the bodies continue to exist in law, but they have what we call in law a fettered jurisdiction. You cannot act properly and legally without being properly constituted. And that has been set by law. And the courts have interpreted that. So insofar as the commissioner's terms expires, anything that will be done by the secretariat can only refer to the administrative actions within the commission, but not the legal mandate as espoused by the National Cohesion and Integration Act. Those things they will do after that will be illegal.
All right. We want to hear from our viewers as well. Let's hear from Professor Naomi Dema before we come to Yuse and Usha. She's standing by. Professor, before we go to the tweets.
Debarl, I want to differ with my colleagues in one aspect and also open up another venue of looking at this thing. Our unemployment rate is about 50% in the country. And then we are also talking about 50% of Kenya live below poverty. The wage bill is getting out of control. When you're looking at, we need an economic architect to relook at the way we do things. Yes, I agree this body is embodied in the Constitution, but we need to really take a look at what are the impact of the body. Are they the grassroots mobilizer that make people understand how to get along and everything? And what about Pokot? What about all this fight that are taking place in that thing? I chair a committee on the national value. No one is talking about the national value. So when you talk about rating education system in terms of how they have embedded the diversity of Kenya in their system, it's okay, exposing them, then what? There is need to be a reassessment, realignment of all these commissions we have, because we have commissions on top of commissions. And we are missing the point. We are missing the goals that were set and how they can all be integrated to have a significant impact on our economy.
Thank you.
So for me, if they close the door tomorrow, I think Kenya will leave and move on.
Even as we're heading towards the general election.
That's correct.
All right, let's hear from the rush of tweets that we have this morning, and Usha Jose, she's standing by. Usha.
Right, 15 minutes to the top of the hour, and your comments are rushing in. Of course, most of them are directed towards condolence messages to General Nkaissery, so I will be reading that. We start with Johnson, who says, General Nkaissery was the total man of his era. With him, we were assured of peaceful elections. We also have Kennedy, who says, Kenya loses profound and impartial leaders in ways that are deemed hard to explain, but all is in the hands of the Almighty. We have John Githanga, who says the late CS Joseph Nkaissery was forceful in his docket. Under his authority, major cases of terrorism reduced to nearly nil. Rest in peace. We have Jumba, who says, as soldiers, we never die, we hold our breath. Rest in peace, Nkaissery, your service qualifies you to heaven. We have Misire, who says, Nkaissery was a no-nonsense man. With him at the docket, we were assured of peaceful elections. We also have George, who says, may he rest in peace. A general is always a general, even in death. We have Kirimi, who says, Major General Nkaissery significantly downgraded organized crime, but Kenya isn't out of the woodwork yet when it comes to curbing crime and terror. We have Amon, who says he loved peace. Indeed, he proved Kenya to be a peaceful nation. We also have Amos, who says Nkaissery brought tremendous changes in the Ministry of Security. And finally, we have John Githanga, who says Major General Nkaissery passed on at a critical time when his guidance and services were needed most. he was a gallant minister. So that is a raft of tweets, of course, most of them condolence messages. You still have time to get your condolence message through #AMLiveNTV. That is how you can get us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. We are also streaming live, so head on down to our Facebook page to watch the show. Back to you, Debarl.
So, Usha, how do you remember the general yourself?
Very strong-fisted. He sort of reminds me of my father because he was very stern, yes.
So when you see Nkaissery, you see your father?
Well, I see, yes, somehow.
He's
He is my father figure, yes.
Right, thank you. Many thanks indeed, Rusha, and also for the rush of tweets there. We thank you also. Of course, earlier we were playing a clip that we had also here, an interview with General Nkaissery, and that's what you were chiming in. And still in his domicile is what we're discussing this morning. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission's term is ending in August the 12th. We're heading towards a general election. Also, we know that the minister has passed on. We don't have a vacuum because we're having an acting, of course, Interior Minister, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, who's taken over. But also domiciled within that particular ministry is the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, whose term is ending. And the debate is, should they be given an extension as they had earlier requested? Or should we go to the general election without a cohesion team on the ground? Well, we don't know the upshot of the elections as well. But we want to play you clips, of course, of what also Honorable Raila Odinga was saying on the ground regarding, of course, the military also, being used by certain parts or the Jubilee administration to maybe scuttle the whole process during the election. Just listen into his sentiments.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto is a very angry couple. They are lashing out at everything and everyone with intemperate and uncouth language, constantly exploding into fits of rage and spreading lies and misinformation. Uhuru has come up with Nusumukati fantasies and well claims that NASA is afraid of elections because he thinks will placate members of NASA by inviting them into the legitimate government he plans to establish if he succeeds in rigging the forthcoming elections. Two lies the president has consistently told is that NASA wants elections postponed and that the opposition is interested in a Sumukati arrangement that will see the opposition end up in a shared government with Jubilee. President Uhuru Kenyatta appears to be preparing to reject election results because he now knows he will lose. We have seen over the years the increasing militarization of Kenyan state and the moving of the president around the country in a military fatigue. As we speak, Uhuru is marshalling all armed forces to deal with challenges which only he knows. We said we wanted elections yesterday. We are more than ready for elections. If anything else, it is Jubilee which is not ready.
So what exactly do we mean by the militarization of a state? Does the president, if he actually dons the military fatigue, maybe he's militarizing the country, right? We want to hear from our panelists as we're winding up with the headline thoughts right now because we're really strapped for time. We'll drill deeper on this, of course, next week when we continue with the discussion, of course, also on what is happening in Lamu right now. Let's begin with you, Captain Werunga. Let's hear from the generals themselves, the retired generals. Yeah, tell us, Captain, this sentiment you hear from Raila, and of course, right now we're talking about militarization of a state. These are sentiments we don't want to hear a few days towards a general election, right? As we know, the tension is being heightened in this country. Briefly, very briefly.
I think two levels. One, I want to remind Kenyans when President Uhuru created the Central Command that was meant to take care of Nairobi and the environs. Kenyans started talking about militarization of the country, and they didn't understand the logic behind the creation of the Central Command. Of course, it faded away. We never heard about it. But one thing I wanted to say is this is the second time Honorable Raila Odinga is talking about militarization, the government using the military on matters of elections. I have tremendous respect for this former Prime Minister. And I find myself in a quandrum to disabuse what he's saying because I know he knows what he's saying. He must have reasons why he's saying this. We might not be alive to what he thinks he knows, and therefore I'll throw it back to them to tell Kenyans why they think the government is using the military. And I want to repeat this, reiterate, that Honorable Raila Odinga is not a loose talker. When he says something, I'm sure he has some reasons why he's saying that.
Thank you.
When he speaks about something, there must be some things that he has that make him come on national stage to tell us what he's talking about.
Thank you.
So therefore, I'll throw it back to him. Maybe if he thinks the general public should not be averse to what he knows, then he should share with us he thinks should know, so that the country can move forward.
Right, Captain Wanderi, very briefly.
Yeah.
Debarl, for me, it is extremely sad that we have a potential commander-in-chief who excites disaffection against a state organ like the security forces, the defense forces. We have said it on this show that, and we have just praised the late General Nkaissery for the multi-agency approach in securing the nation. And this is basically what he was doing 3 weeks ago at Bakassi, having all the security organs, in fact, all of them, including prisons, including Forest Service and Kenya Wildlife Service, sitting together to discuss the security of the nation.
Very briefly.
You cannot call that militarization. It is proper to be for armed, to be ready for any eventuality. Let us not split hairs and make wild delegations. I have said before that military officers are neutral and they know their role, and I do not think they will engage in politics.
Thank you. We'll discuss this later next week. Dr. Mustafa, very briefly.
Yeah, Debarl, I think it's important for the NASA presidential candidate to explain more about what he means by saying that President Uhuru Kenyatta is militarizing the country. If indeed it is, he means that appointing former military officers in position, which he has done, and those military officers, former military officers, have performed, as we have seen, in the remarkable, exceptional manner that folks like Major General Nkaissery has, then that's okay. I don't think they should be, Kenyans should have any problem with that. But politicizing issues of security in nature is something that I think Kenyans would not pay attention to. And it's not a good thing, especially during this time when Kenyans are going to an election.
Right, thank you. Dr. Mumuzao.
Yeah, I want this to be on record that these political outfits, what do you call them? Chap, NASA, I don't know, Jubilee, I don't know them. I don't know those things. Jubilee, what do you call, I don't know them. What I know is that there is a function of government that is mandated. It has a commander-in-chief. That should protect the Constitution and the life, liberty, and property of citizens within its mandate. And therefore, if that is militarization, then you know, it's up to interpretation. But I want that to be clear, that we have a fully functional state and state institutions to oversee the elections. That is where we should look. And the security and survival of this state is beyond any individual running for any political office in this country.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from Professor Nomidama.
Quick reaction. Number one, I concur with the Werunga on his expose, which is you need to take political exposition from its context, what is going on. And therefore, when opponents, one said this, the other one said that, then you go back to the base of the context on which they are talking. I want to finish by saying
very briefly, sir.
Revolution without reconciliation is no revolution. I'm quoting Nelson Mandela. Kenya must reconcile for the goodness of our country beyond any doubt.
Right.